It's time to bring out the BetterWorldian in all of us. Welcome to BetterWorldians Radio with your hosts, Ray, Mary Sue, and Gregory Hansel. BetterWorldians Radio inspires you with the people and ideas that are making the world a better place. You'll hear how small acts can make a big difference every day. Now, here are Ray, Mary Sue, and Gregory.
Hi, welcome to BetterWorldians Radio. BetterWorldians Radio is a weekly podcast whose mission is to uplift and inspire you to make the world a better place. I'm Ray Hansel, joined today by my co-host, Mary Sue Hansel. BetterWorldians Radio is brought to you by BetterWorldians Foundation and is co-hosted by the family team that created the popular social game on Facebook called A Better World. A Better World rewards players for doing good deeds while helping to raise money and awareness for charities. To date, over 40 million good deeds have been done in A Better World by more than 4 million people in over 100 countries. This week on BetterWorldians Radio, we welcome Marsha Hudnall, president of the Center for Mindful Eating. A registered dietitian nutritionist, Marsha has been a voice of reason and a thought leader for the last 3 decades in helping women move away from restrictive notions of food and health so that they can better adopt a sustainable approach to eating well. Her mission is to help women learn to enjoy eating and living well without worries about health and weight. Since 1986, Marsha has been a part of the Green Mountain at Fox Run, the Vermont women's retreat that pioneered the non-diet approach to health and healthy weights. An accomplished writer, she has written hundreds of articles for popular magazines, newsletters, and professional journals. And now let's welcome Marsha Hudnall and my co-host, Mary Sue Hansel.
Hi, Marsha. Welcome to BetterWorldians Radio.
Thank you, Mary Sue, and thank you, Ray. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Great. You know, Marsha, we've done quite a few shows on mindfulness, but I thought it might be helpful for those who don't know. Let's begin with what mindfulness actually is.
Well, if you want to start with a formal definition of it, it's about being in the moment, paying attention intentionally to what is going on in the moment, and reserving any judgment about what is happening also. But if you get down to it in a real practical way, it really is about living your life now instead of being caught up in rethinking the past. You know, so many of us spend so much time thinking about what happened in the past and how we would have done things differently, those sorts of things, or caught up in worries about the future. And the fact is if we are spending more time in the moment, in the present time, it helps us be more aware of what is going on and make better decisions about how to react to what is going on or respond to what is going on. And that really has powerful implications for the future. So it really is about living your life now.
Yeah, being conscious.
Exactly.
Sounds like what you're saying. So how does that apply to eating? And what is mindful eating?
Well, mindful eating is a practice that has developed because there are so many people in the world today who really do suffer in their relationship with food. And a lot of that has come out of the worries about weight that really afflict so many people today. In the past, it was largely women who struggled around this issue, but increasingly it's men too, and we're seeing children affected by it also. And mindful eating is really just taking the idea of mindfulness and applying it to the present moment. Paying attention to internal cues. Am I hungry? If I'm attracted or if I'm thinking about eating, am I hungry? Well, you don't always need to be hungry in order to eat. There's no really right or wrong, but it's just being aware of the decisions that you're making and making a choice. Is that the right decision for me at the moment? Rather than getting caught up in all these rules that people have about eating that largely come from diets, weight loss diets that don't work for everyone. In fact, they don't work for the vast majority of people.
So is the goal of mindful eating enjoying your food and having a better relationship, or is there more to it?
Absolutely, enjoying your food is a part of it, because one of the roles of food in our lives that has hasn't gotten a lot of attention is that food is one of the greatest pleasures of life, and I like to point that out. Also, that pleasure is very good medicine. When we feel good, it does good things for our body. So enjoying our food in the moment while we're eating, as well as, feeling good after we get up from the table or finish eating, does wonderful things for our health. So enjoyment is a huge part of it, and it's actually sort of my banner that I carry around when I talk about mindful eating, that we are meant to enjoy eating, because really food is essential to our survival, and enjoyment and pleasure is what keeps us coming after it,
Yeah. Now, Marsha, how did you get involved with mindful eating?
Well, I actually was a dieter.
Okay.
Back in, many years ago, 40 years ago now, and I developed an eating disorder as a result of that.
Oh, dear.
And I recovered. It was before eating disorders were as common as they have unfortunately become in our society today. And I recovered by starting to listen to my body, and this is really before we even knew the terms mindful eating. But what essentially brought me to the idea of mindful eating was that I joined Green Mountain at Fox Run, which Ray had mentioned. I've been a part of for over 3 decades now, and it's a retreat that actually my mother-in-law founded to help women who struggled with dieting and their weight, to help them stop dieting and learn how to take care of themselves and feed themselves, learn how to eat instead of starve. And so when I joined Green Mountain, we weren't using the term mindful eating because it wasn't really a term that was around. We were talking more about conscious eating. And but then we had John Kabat-Zinn come up and speak to us in the late 80s. And if you know
yes.
mindfulness at all, you know John Kabat-Zinn, because
Exactly.
he's sort of the father of mindfulness, at least in this country and in the U.S. And anyway, John talked to us about the idea of mindful eating, and we adopted it, and we've run with it. It's become, a core facet of our program since. And the wonderful thing about it is that so many women come to us who just really have never even heard of it before, but most of them have struggled with eating and weight for much of their lives, and it just offers such relief to hear about the practice and hope that they can indeed develop a better relationship with food, one that truly supports their well-being.
Well, we're going to talk more with Marsha Hudnall, president of the Center for Mindful Eating, in a moment. But right now, I'd like to take a brief break and tell our listeners a little bit about our game on Facebook called A Better World. A Better World encourages habits of goodness, positive mindsets, and giving to social causes to make a positive difference in the world. Players actually do things like express gratitude, share their random acts of kindness, and send get-well notes to real-world sick children, and so many more activities. Each month, the Better World partners with a different nonprofit to help raise money and awareness for its cause. This month, we're happy to partner with Nurturing Minds in Africa that we featured just recently, I think it was last week, on our show. When our players complete 150,000 good deeds in the game, we will release funds to provide quality education for over 200 vulnerable girls in Tanzania. You can find out more at abetterworld.com. So now let's get back to our conversation with Marsha Hudnall, the president of the Center for Mindful Eating, and Mary Sue.
Marsha, so what are some of the principles of mindful eating?
Well, again, the primary principle of mindful eating is paying attention while you're eating, but also doing it again without judgment. And that is very key to the whole process, because again, so many of us have grown up with these ideas that there are good foods and there are bad foods, and there are things we should eat and there are things we shouldn't eat, and all that. All those rules and judgments really can muddy our decision making about what is best for us. You know, our minds are very powerful, and they can drive us to make choices that really aren't in our own best interest if we're not thinking straight. So trying to get rid of those rules and just be in the moment and decide what is it that I need right now from food, or what is it that I need right now, and will food actually meet that need, truly help me meet that need? And that's important because so many people are caught up in emotional eating problems. And food is a wonderful solace. It is a wonderful thing to be using to help us feel better. But if that's our only way to help ourselves feel better, then it can really create more problems than it solves. So it's about, again, being in the moment, making decisions about what we really need, and is food what we really need in the moment. So that's one of the primary principles.
Mm-hmm. Now,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what can people expect as benefits if they adhere to the mindful principles that you talk about in eating?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the greatest benefits is we can find peace around food.
Okay.
Again, so many people are just struggling with eating, and they feel guilty when they eat certain things, and they want these foods, but they try to not have them, and then they eat them. They feel guilty, and that often leads to overeating. So you can end up with a much healthier relationship with food, one that feels much more peaceful. And ultimately what that will do, again, is help you make better decisions about what it is that you need in the moment. And our bodies are really designed to guide us in eating, to tell us what, when, and how much we need to eat. And so if we're listening to our bodies, and, this is part of our survival mechanisms and our, that keep us alive. So if we're listening to our bodies, we are going to be choosing things that help us feel well. And over time, that's going to support our health. So the biggest benefit probably is that we are going to support our health and our well-being as much as food can impact that.
Now, you mentioned that mindful eating is really not a diet. Is that right? Or it's really not a weight loss plan?
It absolutely is not. And if someone is using it as a weight loss plan, the problem that we run into there is you become externally focused on achieving some sort of goal that really does not necessarily match what our internal needs are, what our body tells us. So, for example, if you're say, I'm going to use mindful eating in order to lose 10 pounds, well, the mindset that comes along with losing weight is, not eating too much, and what kind of foods should I be eating? And so what happens when you wake up in the morning and you're hungrier than you normally are? And this happens because our hunger can vary, according to whatever is going on in our life, our activity levels, our hormonal levels, different things affect our hunger. And so if you wake up hungrier than you normally are, but you're thinking, I need to keep my intake low because I need to lose that 10 pounds, then you're really ignoring your internal cues. And what that really does in the long run is mean that you're not really meeting your body's needs, and your body's really powerful. And if you do that long enough, it will drive you to get what you need. And if it's just in terms of calories, if you're not eating enough, it'll drive you to just eat regardless. Some food comes along that looks good and you might start eating it, and then you feel guilty about it, and then it sets up that cycle of overeating, guilt and overeating, restriction, and then overeating. And that's just the real common situation that you see.
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Right.
In that case. But this seems like it would be very good for digestion because you're going to be calmer. It seems like you'd be really enjoying your food. I think I read in some of your materials that, you should look at the food first and, do some deep breaths and then, examine the texture. And it so much reminds me of other mindfulness principles that I thought it sounded like a great idea. You just overall use all your senses while you're eating, and then, just like you would if you're walking outside on a beautiful day. So I wanted to ask, you say that being a foodie goes hand in hand. Can you talk more about that?
Well, that really goes along with this idea of enjoying food. Mm-hmm. And I think many of us would say that we love food, but we, in this age of, this unhealthy relationship that so many of us have with food, we feel a little conflicted in that love of it. And my contention is that being a foodie actually really helps you, embracing your love of food really helps you be a more mindful eater because you pay more attention to what it is that you're eating. You are more particular about what it is that you eat. You're not going to eat just anything because it's there. It needs to taste good, so you're really in relationship with that food. You're paying attention to it and enjoying it. So it comes back to trusting your body to be able to guide you in making good decisions, and then really enjoying. And one of my favorite sayings these days is something I saw on a bag tag of one of my favorite teas, and it said, "The purpose in life is to enjoy every moment." And maybe not, but I sure love that saying.
Yeah, it sounds good.
When it comes down to eating, if you're enjoying in the moment and you still feel good afterwards, then it's good. It's you're doing well with your eating.
I see we have a big day coming up right in January 26th, Mindful Eating Day. Now, what happens during Mindful Eating Day? Are there teleconferences or webinars or what happens?
We're having different videos and webinars that are featuring some of the leading practitioners in the field of mindful eating that are there to help spread the word that mindful eating is a practice that offers a lot of promise for people throughout the world. And it is an international mindful eating day. We have the Center for Mindful Eating now has members from all over the world, active members in Belgium and in England and in Mexico and the Middle East, so it's really a celebration of mindful eating and the promise that it offers, and giving some more information about it for those who are still learning about it.
Now, where can our listeners tune into this if they have an interest?
Well, you can go to the Center for Mindful Eating website, which is tcme.org or the Center for Mindful Eating.org, and get all the information that you need there.
Wonderful. Now, Marsha, how do you believe that mindful eating can help improve people's lives and therefore make it a better world?
Well, again, I think what mindful eating can help us do is put eating in its place. Food and eating its place is an important area of our life, but not the only area of our life. And again, it takes up so much time and attention and energy for people who are struggling around this, that it really doesn't leave a lot left over in terms of the energy to go after the things that maybe are truly meaningful to you in life. So whether you're a person who truly struggles or a person who's just a little conflicted about eating, mindful eating can really help you put that to rest and spend your time focused on what really makes a difference for you in your life and for others also.
It sounds like you're making a great difference, so we thank you for your work. For our listeners, if you want to learn more about Marsha Hudnall's wonderful work, please go to the Center for MindfulEating.org. Marsha, thank you so much for joining us today on BetterWorldians Radio.
Thank you, Ray and Mary Sue.
You're very welcome. BetterWorldians Radio is brought to you by BetterWorldians Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to make the world a better place by encouraging the very best in everyone. We believe it's important to plant flowers rather than just pull weeds. So we focus on positive thinking, we focus on positive values and positive actions. In short, our vision is to bring out the better world in everybody so that we can all make it a better world. But we could sure use your help. Donations to support us can be at the BetterWorldians Radio podcast, as well as go towards developing new features, articles, videos, blogs, and much more. So go to BetterWorldians.org and become a part of this important mission. And until next time, everybody, please be a better worldian.